This conference will now be recorded.
Can anyone please respond? Am I audible clearly?
Yeah,
Yes,
we can hear you.
Okay. Thanks. Thanks for the confirmation. So let us wait for a couple of more minutes for everyone to join and we'll start. Hi everyone. Good evening. So let us get started. So last week we have discussed on the different topics related to our architecture. Then we have discussed on the server structure. Then we have moved on to the three-layer architecture. All the basic stuff we have discussed, and then we started with the EDT enums, and we discussed on the enums on last Friday. Right, and we thought of just completing on the EDT, and then we'll start creating our data structures, which is discussing on the data structures, which is related to our tables, right? Going more into the data types, so we have discussed on our base enums. Now we'll be discussing on our data type, or what we call extended data type. Now going into that, so this is very similar to what you have any like basic data type what we use in any language, be it C++, Java, anything what we use. So just give me a moment, I'm getting a call. One. Okay, hi. Yeah. Okay, so as I was discussing, so this is pretty much similar to any data type what you use in any other language. So if you have worked in SQL or C++ plus plus or Java, anything, or if you do not know that, you know that there are different type of how we can store data. Right. Similarly, just think of a transaction data. What the data what you see in your any invoice what you buy from your grocery shop or your DMart store, whatever you buy, right? You see your name at the top, then you see your address, phone number, then you see the item that you bought, unit price, quantity, everything those things you see. And you understand that if in your let's compare to an Excel, if you go to an Excel, you will just try to store a name data that is not exactly similar to your amount data or your date, right? So every type of field needs some kind of identifier, that this identifies my column type. So in that column only a number can be stored as a amount, right? Or a date can be stored as a transaction date. Similarly, your name can be stored as a text. So all these are basically your data types. And for dynamics, we have a concept called extended data types, right? That I'll come to later, but just to give you an understanding, so this is what we call as our data types. So when you say then the data type, I believe the basic concept is clear. We have different kind of what we call as primitive data types, right? We have our string. String is nothing but our text. Then we have our integers. Integers are nothing but numbers with complete without decimals. Then we have our decimals, or what we call as real numbers, right? Real numbers are something with decimals. Then we have our GUID, or what we call as 36 character number. Then we have our text characters. All these different data types or primitive data types we have in Dynamics 365. So let me share my screen, and I think you can easily understand this through the example, or just through just looking into the list. So let us go and try to see this. So let me share my screen. Okay, so if you can see, let me open the slide. So these are the different primitive data types what we have in our in any system, right? We have this. Just look at this, like date. Date means it contains day, month, and year. We have a GUID, is a global unique identifier number with a 36 character. That is also number. Then we have integers. We have discussed on the integers is nothing but a whole number. Then real numbers with decimals, right? This is without decimal. Then we have the string text, and UTC date time contains year, month, day, time, everything. So these are very basic type how we store a data. So compared to the different columns in Excel, so when you get a data, you must see, right? You have your date, you have your number, you have your different thing related to your fixed value, which are enums basically. Then you have your boolean data, which is yes or no or true false data. All these are different data types. Now for Dynamics, what we call something as an extended data type. I mean, what do I mean by extended data type? So extended data types are nothing but, so you have a primitive data type, you create an extended data type out of it, a certain level, and then you use that. So what do I mean by that? So let us take an example of a value called as amount. Okay, so let's say you have a real field, right? Real means this one. We have a real, correct, one numbers with a decimal, right? So let's say we have a real value, and we are allowing like few decimal points there, correct? Now in your application, you are creating some transaction tables. Also you are creating some tables for reporting. Also then you have some tables just to store some master data, and everywhere you need that real field. If we use the same real field again and again, do we think that increases like code readability? First part, then the second part is extension property, all these things. The answer is no. The answer lies here that if we have an option where you can just extend this basic data type, then we can use that into our application everywhere, and we can use it for our own good. As an example, so if you from here, if you can create go and create a data type, what we call as amount. Here you set the property as, let's say, property as 2 decimal allowed. Okay. Similarly, for the reporting, let's think of a field where you allow, where you have a EDT, which is where you need to show maybe 4 decimal places. So you again create an EDT, which is called reporting amount, right? Let's say, and here you set the like 4 decimals allow. Okay, so now when you created these two, do you think that if see this amount, whenever you created this, you can go and use this anywhere in the system in all the tables? And let's so my point is, so this amount, the CDT, you are only using for your transaction table. So transaction table, and we have, let's say, 100 plus transaction tables in the system, right? 100 plus tables everywhere you are using this amount, correct? So like this one, this is bold. And similarly, this reporting amount, if you see, this is you are only using for the reports, and I am just assuming that you are using for reporting, and we have like 20 plus reports. Now, think of a situation, you have these 100 plus tables and you are using only one data type, or rather what we call as extended data type, which is amount. You don't need to go, if you want a change in property here, you don't need to go to each table and change it. You just simply go to amount, change the property to maybe 3 decimals, and every 100 different tables will show the same property. So this is the power of extension. So I use it in all the tables. Whenever I want to change anything, I just go to the object, which is a base object, which is the amount EDT. I change it, and the same property, wherever it is being used, it will be reflected. Similar case for the reporting amount. If we have the 4 decimal, now I want to include 5 decimals, I just simply change the property here, and it will show all the all those 20 plus different reports, it will show the same value. This is the concept of the EDT. Now you think of the situation if we haven't used this, and if you have in the real field, which is a primitive data type, right? We have to go to each table, and we just need to change it in by creating by going to the field property, change the field length to 3 decimals, or some, if you are using another field like name, right? That name character to different things. So let us give an example. So if we have seen some websites where you can see, right, there are places where you can just store your names in a like short format, right? And also there are formats where you can store the name as a long format. So if you have a like a name with 3 4 different words, so there are some websites where you cannot write everything. You can write only maybe one word or something, but they will give another option where you can store the complete name, right? So what we call as, there is a concept called search name and actual name. The search name is that small length which you just stored the data, and the actual name, or which is actually the complete name, right? So that search name can contain maybe like 10 15 characters, but the actual name can contain your 80 or 100 characters, right? Do you think that if we just go and start creating just only using the text character for those two fields, will it work? Answer again is no, because we have to identify a way where you can just simply create data types which can serve both the purpose, right? Which can contain characters of 15 also, and also can have a data type which can contain characters of 100 also. So that is a good part of the power of the EDTs. And similarly, if we just think from the quote point, so let's say if I just write a select statement, so if you don't know what is a select statement, is fine. So let's think of a scenario where you just want to fetch some record, fetch some data from the database. So if you have maybe 100 different transaction tables, right, and you want to just fetch some record, and you have all those columns named after different things, right? So if you feel that using the same name or the same real value, same name in all the columns, will it be like easier to understand? Let's say I have like real 1 2 3, or just same edt we are using, same data type rather you're using, will it be easy to read the code? The answer again is a big no, because if we can just see the let's say this amount field, if we're using in those tables, we can just name those fields like let's say amount in currency, transaction currency, or amount in different currency. So all these things will be allowed. So just give me a moment. Hi everyone. So yeah, sorry for the interruption. So there's someone at the door. Anyways, so this is what we are expecting. So if we have like 100 different columns and if it is in the same name, that is not the right way to do it. We should like write the columns in a way which is easily understandable. So when you will, I mean I can go and show you a long list of code, but you will not understand anything. But you will see there are some fields which are named as amount in currency or amount in reporting currency. All these fields are there, correct? So which easily identifies, okay, this field is for this purpose. So if we just see select like amount everywhere, if you just select amount 1 2 3, those are not at all recommended. So you should always give it a proper name. So that is the core concept of the EDT. And the extension properties, extension capability, so that is the most important thing. So the code readability, how we build create the different fields, and the extension capabilities, and the reusability, right? This is we can reuse, right? Whatever I told you, this amount field we can reuse in 100 different tables. So that is the most important part of editing, which you go and use it on a day-to-day basis. So just remember this. The best practice is like what Microsoft suggests is, whenever you have you're designing a database or creating tables and try to create some structure out of it, the best practice is, if you know that okay, I am creating some fields which I know that this will be of type of date. So you know that by default system already provides you some EDT with date properties, right? Transaction date, or maybe stored date, all those things, right? So you can go and use that option. No issues in that. But if you're using some data related to your amount, or some which where you need some specific characters, you can go and create a new EDT for yourself. Because if you have this amount field, amount EDT, which is allowing 3 decimal places, and if you need in your table, you cannot just go and change this amount to 4 just for because you need in your table, because that is that is not being used in other tables where it is storing up to 3 decimal places, right? So you cannot just go and change it. And with Dynamics 365, with the concept of extension, which I told you earlier also, we cannot go and change that also, right? Because anything we cannot change right now, it is all the base objects are same as it is. But if we could have that option, just the best practice, you do not change the existing object, you create a new EDT out of it, right? From the this base data type, which is the real type. You can create a new EDT, let's say amount amount 4 characters or something like that, right? You can give it a name, proper name, and you can use that. So that is the core concept of the EDT, how this data structure is working, everything in the different tables. And before going into the system, I'll just show you how to create one. We'll see different types, but before that, do you have any questions?
Yeah, yes, Mantra. Yeah, regards this, as you earlier told us that one table will store all the different kind of entities, right? For example, in one Dynamics, I have in my company, I have 4 or 5 companies, 4 or 5 entities. So for example, consider one is India, one is US, one is uh, Dirham, USD. Sorry, Dubai. So in India, it was only 2 decimals. In USD, it was 3. In Dirham, it was 4. So in this scenario, what we have to keep the table entity, because we can't change, right?
Yes, we cannot change it. Yes, but we can store the data, use different EDTs. So the example from your side is that you have 2 decimal, 3 decimal, 4 decimals needed, right? So what we can do, we can create one EDT for as an amount field if we are having the same table, right? If you are using the same table, and we can allow that for some country it can store up to 2 decimal places, for some country it can be storing up to 3 decimal places. Those capabilities are there. And also the way you are saying, so it is not, I don't think we have tables which are like very specific tables what you were talking about. So maybe for I'll give you a more practical example, right? So we have tax structures all over the world, tax tables all over the world. If we go to US, you have your federal tax structure. Like India, we have state and center, right? This is how the tax structure works in US also, federal, like state and different center taxes. But for Dubai and UAE, most of the Middle East countries, barring few of them, they do not have any sales tax, right? Or do not have any VAT. Uh, and also at the same time, India has a GST tax structure. So all these structures are different, but at the same time, at the back end, we have 1 or 2 different main master tables related to tax, okay, which is tax table where most of the tax transactions are getting stored. Now, when there is different structures for different countries like India, US, Middle East, or UK or European tax structure, so you can have different uh, sub tables or different tables with different fields for that. And in those tables, you will be storing the data according to a country requirement. There is hardly any table which you have like where you are just storing the data which you will need for, like for one country it will have 2 decimal and the other country it will have 3 decimals. Those doesn't work like that. I can give you another good example. So in ERP, any ERP, we have a concept of journals, right? We can record our transactions. We have our credit transaction and debit. All those entries we can record in our daily journals. In the journal transaction, that is same for all the countries, and in journal we do have the amount field, correct? And that is applicable across all countries across the world. That amount field contains, I think, 4 decimals, I think, yeah, till 4 decimals. If you want to extend that to 5 decimals or 6 decimals for your country, then what you have to do, the implementation that you are doing, you have to go and change that property, extend that EDT, and say that okay, for only my country UAE, a country code UAE, I'll be allowing 4 decimals, and that is only happening for the country code UAE. Rest of the countries, it will contain only 4 characters, up to 4 characters, where you can store 2 decimal, 3 or 4 decimals. Okay, I hope that answers your question. So we'll see more examples in it practical cases, but this happens. I mean, this we can easily capture the data in this way. Yeah. Any other questions?
Yes, so we have base EDTs, right? Like we have yes, no EDT or any customer name EDT is already there. Now I am creating a new table. I created a new field but I want to have the characteristics of that EDT, which is already a base EDT, base enum or base EDT. So for that also, do I need to do the for example, if it is customer name, this is present in so and so module. In this EDT might be present in so and so module. So do I need to make sure that in my project that module is available?
Yes, absolutely. You have to ensure that that model, and the model is called model, that model should be present in your model which you created as a reference model. Otherwise you will not be able to access it, or you will not be able to change it. Yes. You okay, to answer your question more clearly, you will be able to use that one. So let's say you create a table, and in that table you use created a field called name, and you use that EDT called customer name. You can just go and write it. It is fine. You will not be able to, system will not stop you. But when you do a build, it will show you that you are missing a reference model. And because the reason is that EDT is the base EDT is coming from a different model. That is the reason, and you have to go and select that as a reference model.
Okay.
Okay, I hope that is clear. So just give me a minute. I'm just opening up the VM and I'll show you on from the VM. Okay. So let us go back to the discussion. So I just wanted to highlight few points related to EDT, and just remember when you are discussing on the EDT, so we are, the best practice, as I always said, you should use the EDT or create a new EDT whenever there is a chance, and also whenever there is a chance, you should use the base EDTs. So mostly when I show you development and when we will do development, I urge you or I suggest you to use the EDTs which are available. That helps you in many ways, because you will also able to know what are the base EDTs which are being used by Microsoft, because those are very standard EDTs. Those are created with standard with all the basic standards, so that you are getting to know them, and whenever you are creating any EDT out of it, so that can also be very helpful, right? So these two are the most important things. So create a EDT whenever there is a chance, and or if there is a chance, use the existing EDTs also, so that is also work. So just let me share my screen where it goes. Yeah. Okay, so I told you like the benefits of EDT. So please remember this. There are few pointers, right? These are like the highlighters I told you. code, like easy readability of the code, how you can use the code easily, read the code easily, understand the meaning out of it. Inheritance, property inheritance, I told you, right, how we are using one EDT and we can use it to different places. Consistency, definitely the same EDT whenever you are using to different places, it is meant to be consistent. So one place you can go and change, and it is going and changing in all the different places. Similarly, it is also reducing your work. Now coming back to the best practices, right, as I told you, use EDT whenever possible, and so create one for each entity. So if you are using, and also I suggest create, if you want, you can create the EDTs for your application, or use the existing one. Also create one for each entity is fine, but if you have the option where you can go and use the base ones, go and use them. That is also important. And there is something called rake id. I'll come to that later once I discuss more on tables. I'll not be, like, you will not be able to understand more on this. There are some system data type which you should not use always, like your rake id or table id. These fields are not recommended to use. So basically rake id is a unique identifier of each record in the table. I think you will able to more visualize it once I show you from the tables. Now coming back to the EDTs, so let us go and see from the application explorer. Okay, I think I haven't given you a tour on the Visual Studio, right? So let us go and give you a tour. Okay, so once you open the Visual Studio, right, you first need to create a model, which I explained, and then you should create a, from that model you should create a project, and the solution explorer gets created automatically. Now this is the base screen which I show you every day. Now there are a lot of different things at the top here, right? We should know what each of these things, and I'll tell you the relevant options, because there are a hell lot of things, and if I just start telling you each of the buttons, you will get confused. Our most focus areas is into three sections. First is view, second is extensions, and third is build. These three are the most important three sections where we can go and do our regular extensions. Why it is needed? If we click on this extension, we have something called as dynamic 365, and this is each and one of the point is very important. Deploy, once we know more about the deployment package, we'll know. That's the later part, but this model management I've already told you, this is very important, and I have told you how to create a model, refresh the model, update model parameters, and all these things are important. Once I give you access, you will able to play it with it. Import project and export, what is the okay, export is obviously not here. Import project is nothing but this, if you have created a project and if you want to import that, and how you can go to the build models is building. Synchronizing database is whenever you're creating a table EDT, you have to synchronize the database, because this, once you do a synchronous, it only it will go and reflect the changes in the SQL, and then when the reflection is happening with the SQL, then you will, your connection through the AOS to the DB layer gets completed, right? Remember those three layers, so that connection with the AOS to the DB layer gets completed through this synchronization, right? All the other options are there. I'll explain those later. These are not that important, or say there are few important things, but you will not be able to make out more out of it. So under the extension, dynamics 365 is the most important options. Now coming back to other section, this file is, I think you know, all you have can create a new one, open a new one, close, all these things are there. Now under view, we have a lot of different things. Most important thing is this application explorer. If you click on this application explorer, this contains all your application objects, or what we call as metadata. This is kind of a repository of application, your objects, all your objects. So I think I've told you this data type contains your EDT and enum. Data model contains your table, view, query, all these things. Code contains your classes, jobs, and then you have your user interface, which contains your form, menu item, menu, all these things. Also your reports, business process and outflows. We'll cover each and everything once we go deep into the course, correct? Now coming back to the application explorer, this is important because this AOT This is full form is application object tree, AOT, application object tree. Here you are getting a complete list of view, and here also if you go and right click you will see something called as model view. Model view is nothing but gives you a list of the models, and under each model you can have your different objects, and then you have the same structure again under models. So it gives you only a view where you have your all the models, and under those models you have your different objects, right? Now similarly, if you have once you understood this, like these are the models, and as I explained, most important model is the application suite, where I'd say 90% of your work objects will be uh, you will find in application suite, because Microsoft has designed in this way that application suite contains your 90% of the all the objects you work with. And then you can go and different other models that are related to tax, related to warehousing, related to human resource. Everything is there, right? Now if I just go and go to the classic view, now I have explained this. Now go to the view again, and here you have your different windows, right? Here you have error list, output window, all these different are basically, you know, like these are very common to Visual Studio. If you have open Visual Studio, output window gives you the output. What is when you do a compilation, it gives you the output. Then error list contains your all the errors if you have anything. Then task list contains if you have identified some task. All these different windows are there. This you can go and explore. So most importantly, we application explorer, just remember this is the place where you can go and find the application explorer, which is a repository of all the objects. Similarly, we have the build section. So under the build section we have your build the project, rebuild the project, clean project, and then we have your solution, also build solution, clean solution, all these things. So I believe if you do not know, just to give you again some understanding, solution and project, these are all kind of a placeholder. Most important thing is the model, where you go and store, I mean the objects what you create is stored there in the models, correct? Solutions can contain multiple projects, correct? And so here if I have a demo project under this solution, right, so I can create one solution and I can have multiple projects in that solution. It is basically referring to, let's say if you have a big development for, let's say, tax engine implementation, right? Let's say for GST implementation also we were doing something for tax engine, and that tax engine can have different small projects under it. One, you can do customization related to your tax master data. The second customization can be your tax transactions. Third can be your tax reporting. So do we need to create everything under one project? The answer is no, because it is not easy for someone to find out which objects you created for tax transaction or for tax report. So under same solution you can go and create 3-4 different projects with for tax master data, transactions, reporting, everything. And in that you can just go and simply create the objects you need. So this is from the solution point of view, and this is from the Visual Studio. Now coming back to the EDT, if you go to these data types, and here you have your extended data type, and also have extended data type extension. Now if you go to extended data type, here you see all the data types. One thing which you will see, you will not be able to identify, just, I mean, you can understand, but just by looking here you will not be able to see, okay, if I see this ABC percent C, can you tell directly that this is a date, or this is a real field, or this is a enum field? The answer is no, because you just by looking at the name, just by looking into the screen, you cannot identify that, because there is no segregation in the EDT here. Okay, so I mean Microsoft hasn't given you some those kind of segregations here. So what happens here, you have just to go to the properties and you have to find it. So let's say you have ABC percent C, and here you can see it extends some IDT called percent, and then you can understand, okay, by when it is a real field, then it gives you these options, right? Allow negative, allow save separator, like there will be something called as decimal places, yeah, number of decimals, all these different properties are there, correct? So this is very important to understand here how we can create this. And here all these different data types, here you can have your date, name, type, everything in a single window, which is the extended data type. And if you want to extend something, you have to reference that model, and you can go and right click and create a EDT out of it and then extend that. Correct? Now, any questions here? Any questions related to the Visual Studio look and feel and related to the EDT? No? Okay, I'll take that as a no. So remember just few of the important properties of the EDT. I will discuss on the properties tomorrow also, I think, because I mean, it can be a bit lengthy for the day because EDT have a lot of different properties are there, uh, like extension or the extendability, type of how we can set the labels. Then you have your different extension, if you are allowing extension and all these things we can different. Then if you want to reference a table or not, all these things we can discuss. But just from the understanding on the different data type when you discuss the EDT, from the basic concept of, do you have any questions? Okay, so fine. I think I'll take that as a no. And over the weekend, did you, I mean, anyone have gone through the topics, like any topics related to server architecture, base enum, how the database layer and all those things? So if you are, I mean, if you are just having interest studying from on your on your with your own interest, so just let me know if you have any questions in the meantime. Okay, because. There are, I mean, we are going into the classes, we are just learning on the things, but you will also have to just invest some time from your side so that you can just know on the things better. Okay, I'll just stop the share and I just open for questions for a few minutes. If you have any questions, please let me know.
Yeah, hi Mitra. So, how do we connect Visual Studio with Dynamic 365?
Mitra, you're on mute if you are saying something.
Yes, yeah, just speaking on mute. I didn't understand muted. Okay, the question is how can I connect Dynamics 365 to Visual Studio? The answer is the development space is Visual Studio. Once that code base, what you are seeing, right? So that when you do a build, what it does, it creates the model, it creates the object, and all these things are deployed to the cloud through IIS, or what we call as Internet Information Services, as a IaaS, infrastructure as a service. And once we deploy that, your changes are being reflected to the portal, or what we call as Dynamics 365 application. So this is the core part. So we already have a dynamic 365 URL for your this application, and once we go and try to deploy something, then we have to do our changes, create the model, all the objects will be created as a XML object, and then it will be deployed, and then you can see those new objects or the changes you have done.
Yeah, but my question is regarding the Visual Studio. In Visual Studio, we can see there is a tab called Extensions.
Hmm.
By default, that will not come. If I'm correct, we need to do
Yes.
some connection
Yeah,
with
yeah. No, no, no,
365.
no. Yeah, those you don't need to go and manually do some correction. No, no, no. Okay, what you are seeing, yes, by default in Visual Studio you do not have that thing.
Right.
This is coming because in Dynamics 365 I told you, right, we have the option to create our local VM and everything. So in that, when you do go and try to download the virtual file or like virtual hard disk file, pure what you call VHD files, then you will have different files and it will give you an option. In those files the connection automatically is built in, that you are actually downloading something which actually creates the Visual Studio in a way which has the connection with Dynamics 365. Now, tomorrow, if you're in your own machine, in your local laptop, if you have a Visual Studio, you will feel that okay, I can just go and see it. The extension thing, you will not be able to see it. And
Right.
also at the same time, if you think that I can connect it directly, the answer is again no, because that connection doesn't happen through any like online link or something, because against that connection the whole model store and everything is present in your in that virtual machine itself. So if you remember, I showed you that you can go to the C drive, package local directory, and
Hmm.
all the models and the files are created, correct? So
Right.
all those things will not be done if you just go to and try to connect on online. All those objects will be downloaded. It doesn't happen like that. You have to download something which contains all those objects, and then only your connection will be set up.
Yeah. Okay.
So you mean to say that I cannot, if I have a cloud and if I'm installing Visual Studio here, I cannot connect to multiple environments and choose which environment I wanted to work on.
No, I did no. I did not say that. That is, those two are completely different things we're discussing. So yeah, we can connect to different environments. That is completely possible. Uh, so what? I mean, the question was in a different note. But what your question is that if we have, let's say, if I understood correctly, if you have multiple development environments and you want to connect to multiple environments which are pointing to one application, which is completely fine, which is possible because we can download multiple VMs from for one application, and we can assign them to different developers and they can work on that.
So you need to have multiple VMs, you are telling.
Yeah, multiple VMs we can have, yes. Pointing to the same application. That can be possible, yes.
I mean, I cannot install in my laptop itself the Visual Studio and connect to the cloud version of version control and develop the using the Visual Studio.
No. That you cannot do in your local laptop unless you have downloaded your virtual hard disk file, PhD files, and then you have set up your Visual Studio development environment. If you haven't done that, you cannot do that. You cannot connect to cloud. It, as I simply explained, you can just simply connect to cloud, and if you think you can start doing your development, the answer is no. Yes, the answer is simply a no. You cannot do that. You have to have a virtual machine where your all the objects should be present.
Okay.
Yeah, even if I make my own PC as a VM and I install all those
And
100
then you
GB
can do it.
files and
Then can you
hello?
do it? Answer is yes, you can do it then.
Yeah. Okay. But it won't be always the same live packages, right? So I have to take the latest from the server and I have to update in my local VM and then I can work on it, right?
Yes and no, both, because if you are doing a development in your local machine and if you are not maintaining a version control, then also it is fine. No, I mean, there is no
Mm.
rule that you have to do a version control. That is
Oh,
not a problem if you are not using. But yeah, if you are having a DevOps connection where you are having a virtual that control version control, then yeah, you can go
mm.
connect to that and you can get your latest and then you can start your work.
Yeah, why? Because always our code has to be the latest, right? So in that scenario, I should ask. Okay.
Yeah, get latest. Yeah, that means that we are
Yeah.
using the version control. Yes.
Okay.
Any other questions? Okay, I think we're good then. So thanks everyone. We'll regroup tomorrow and we'll start our discussion on the EDT, and also tomorrow we'll show you how to connect to the online VM, and also I'll just give you the first step of creating the local VM in your machine. Okay, so that will be the first step, and then once you download the files, then I will show you the second step. Okay, so that will be the
Okay.
agenda for the next class.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, thanks everyone. Have a good night. We'll regroup tomorrow. Thanks. Bye.
Thank
Fine.
you. Bye.
Is this because, hi, Mitra?
Yes, go ahead.
Is it because new session started, so we are a bit slow, or will the classes be in this manner?
Um, okay, so classes will be following this route. So once we complete a data type, then we'll going to data structure, and then we'll moving to different topics. Yeah, regarding the speed of the class, I believe there are people from different backgrounds. Most of the classes do have that, so we'll follow the a basic standard space where we can, I'll just give some time to everyone where everyone can understand. It's not about going fast or slow, so each topic will have their own time. So table, let's say table is an important topic, we will spend couple of days or like 3 days. Then we'll have a reporting, coding, all those will have different times for that. It's not that uh, if you already have a background of dynamics also, if you're coming to the class, then also we'll be spending the same time on it. It will be standard time. And yeah, if you need any further help, or if you need some time from myself, then you can connect to me on one-to-one. That you can do or through email or through phone number. But as of now, I will follow the standard pace, and if someone needs some help, we can just pause on it and just spend some more time on the on those classes also, on these days also. Okay.
Oh, sure. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, but I
Yeah.
think I have a question.
Yes,
Um,
please go ahead.
yeah, I think if you can ask all my colleagues if they already have the background, we can speed up a little bit. So, or anyway, you will cover all the topics within the period, correct?
Yes, we'll be covering the topics. Yes. But yeah, this
Yeah,
is
but
just the beginning, right? We have just completed, I think this is the fourth class. So don't expect to just, we'll just start on in a rocket
no,
space
no,
or
no,
something.
no, no, no.
We'll
I don't
go on a
think
bit
me
slow,
and
and
my
then,
colleagues. Yeah,
huh?
yeah. We just we are looking to hear about the advanced topics and the other topics as well. If somebody still junior or still يعني have doesn't have the knowledge about the D365, so we can move with this. I don't mind for myself. But if all have the same level, understand what you are explaining right now, so we can speed up a little bit. I don't know my colleagues how.
Yeah, I completely get your point, Yusuf. But I just need to. I mean, I had some. In most of the batches, we don't find that kind of same kind of level. But yeah, we can just discuss on that. So okay, let me do one thing. So if you have any further questions, you can just connect to me. I'll just drop my email ID and phone number. So if you need anything, you can just connect to me also. So let me just write it to you, and please, it would be great if all of you can just drop your email ID at least to my phone number, or just drop me an email with your email ID, because from tomorrow itself I'll be sending you some guidance or documents which you can
I
refer
suggest
later.
one thing, Mitra, if you accept and my colleagues accept, if we can create a WhatsApp group so we can share the questions together during the course,
I
and
think
we
we
you can
we
stop the
have
group.
we have that. We already have not, I think for this batch, maybe, yeah, for the others. I think last time we had that group for our connect. I mean, previous batch we had that connection, so you can just talk to the admin ones because they create the group and they maintain the group. So if you just talk to the Visualpath admin, they can helpful. They can be very helpful. I think they maintain the group and they will add all of you. Okay, so that is the process that we follow. So
Okay.
yeah. Yeah, and please everyone just don't just start typing the email ID now. I'll like the chat will be disappeared and I'll just not note down everything. So I have dropped my email ID and so I'll just drop my phone number also. So if you need, you can connect, or otherwise just drop your email IDs, all of you, because I need to send you few emails. I'll not bug you with any other thing. So yeah, here it goes. So if you can just note it down, my email ID, phone number, if you need anything, you can connect. And otherwise, we'll be connecting daily over the our sessions itself. Okay. So thanks
Okay.
everyone. I have a hard stop today at 9:30. So we'll connect tomorrow if everyone has noted down. So that's good. Otherwise, we just I'll just give these details in the next class also. Okay. Thanks everyone. Have a good night.
Fine,
Have a
thanks.
good night.